first. Okay.
Wow, she was very intent
Let
about
me
that.
tell you
That was
something, Aaron.
very.
I am very techie over here. Okay.
I feel it. I feel being in
I know
Dallas, me
how
being in
to,
East North Carolina. I'm not messing
yeah,
with it.
I know how to hit record and on Zoom and
Yeah.
upload to YouTube. It's about as
Is it
techie as
even
I get.
is it even really you or is it AI? I figured it was AI that I'm looking at.
You never know.
You just
And
never know in
you
business.
will never know.
You never know. It's
Maybe we
the
should
new
talk
thing.
about AI. Maybe we should talk about AI, which
Yeah.
by the way,
Yeah.
we're recording already. So
Okay. Perfect.
we'll just you heard
See what
that though.
happens.
You heard that because
What?
it said because I it said recording. I mean,
Oh,
you're
I heard it. I heard it. She was very bold in her statement. She let us all
yes, she
know.
was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think is going to happen with AI?
Oh, I mean, it's a lot. I mean, I think that there's some good things with it, and then I think there's some really disastrous things that are coming from it, and I think a lot of church staffs don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
So if plagiarism was an issue before, now you can not worry
it
about
already
hearing.
is.
And so now it's like, what are we? I
I
just
can
get concerned
tell.
that the breath of God isn't on anything anymore. That it's
I
just
can. I can tell. I don't know if you can tell. I can tell when someone has used AI to write their sermon
100%.
because it's too good.
Yes. And I don't think that's what.
Everything rhymes and like I listened to a guy do a little Bible study not too long ago, and like every every 2 minutes there was like this pause, power punch, quotable, tweetable, rhyming, powerful statement, and I'm like, what, dude? That's too good, you know?
I know. I just, and I also don't think that's what this generation is looking for, man. I think the
Yeah,
polish needs to be gone. I think the authentic needs to come back. I think, what I'm seeing in the younger generation is a generation that just wants really almost Sunday mornings to be like a Bible study, where it's just
yeah,
like, please just open up the word, break it down. So I don't use it. Um, and I mean, for a multitude of reasons, but I think it's dangerous to my personality, if you will. I think,
yeah, yep.
I actually, man, it's funny you asked that. I actually went and spent some time with a friend of mine a few months ago, and I just asked because have you gotten around guys, and I mean, you're one of those guys who I actually feel like you're hearing God, and I know that sounds
Hmm.
so weird, but there's something on
Hmm.
people's words when they've been in the presence of God and you're like, man, where did
Yeah,
you get?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know it. It's not it's
Yeah,
not manufactured. It's not,
yeah,
but there's weight in it. That's probably what I'd say.
yeah.
And man, I was with him and I was like, man, what are you doing? Like what does your quiet time look like? And he kind of gave me this humble answer. And I was like, no, 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 no. I actually need you to walk me through
Yeah, what
what does your
exactly you do?
day look like? And he just kind of broke open
Hmm.
this day of him spending with Jesus. And
Hmm.
and I was like, when do you do your meetings? And he's like, we only have one meeting a week on Thursdays to plan for the weekend.
Hmm.
And it was just a different mentality. And I'm not saying that that's the right way, but it
Yeah.
kind of awakened something in me that if we're not careful, we put the machine in front of the presence of God instead of
Yep.
making sure that when we go to that pulpit on Sunday morning, I mean, or whatever day, it means Saturday night, Thursday night,
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
that there's actually the breath of God on it. And I just find that I think it's going to be a whole lot easier for people to gather around voices that are really in God's presence over the next few years because they're going to get so dull of the professional communication of
Yes.
AI.
Yeah.
So that's
I
my
think
take, man.
so I'm gonna give a shameless plug to, well, it's not shameless because it's not me. I'm gonna plug a book that hasn't even been released yet. I'm reading it right now. Kerry Newhoff sent me his new book that's coming out. I don't know
Yeah.
when it's coming out, but I'm
Look
reading
at
it.
you name drop them. Just
It's
name drop
called,
them.
I
The
did
book.
actually, I did
You
name
did.
drop, didn't I?
Drop
Yeah,
right through.
it is about me, Aaron. Get your stuff together. This is all about me. Okay.
What's your podcast?
Um, so, so it's called, I'm looking at it right now. It's called AI and the Future Church, a leader's guide to ministry in a world you barely recognize.
Mm,
And I don't want to steal any of his thunder. It's going to be really good. And he kind of gives Worst case scenarios, best case scenarios.
Oh,
Best case
good.
scenarios are awesome. Worst case scenarios is train wreck.
Yeah.
Um, but and I don't want to steal anything that I'm not going to give spoiler alerts or give anything that. But one thing that I'll say that I see coming out of the book that is basically what you said a while ago. That there's really, I hope, and I think for the church, it's going to be an opportunity
Mhm.
because there's going to be such a lack of truth and you don't know, like even on Instagram or whatever now, every video that comes up, I'm like, babe, look at this. And
Oh,
she's like, that's not even real. I'm like, are you sure? It looks
yeah.
so real.
I
And
know.
so I think that everything is going to be that. We don't know what's real. We don't know what's fake. And so he
Yeah.
thinks people are going to flock to churches because we're the only establishment left that
That's authentic.
delivers truth. Yes.
Yeah.
If we can stay authentic, and if we
Yeah.
can kind of some of the things we're talking about. So,
Yeah, I mean, my heart
um,
grows heavy for our staffs. I mean, I think that's just where with young people and our on our teams and stuff, just trying to help them navigate it because I think it's one thing for you and I to get up here and talk about the presence of God, talk about all those things, but I think within the organization, there's definitely going to be a temptation to use it
oh yeah.
in an inappropriate way, and so anyway, I think it really and Kerry, I've listened to a lot of his stuff on it, and I mean,
Hmm.
he's brilliant anyway, you know that, and
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
but I do think that we're dealing with a maturity issue in church staffs in general, where
Hmm.
because of growth, because of pace, because of speed, because of resources, we've at times hired really, really young. And that doesn't
Hmm.
necessarily mean spiritual immaturity, but I would
Yeah.
not say it lends itself to spiritual maturity. And so
Yeah.
now all of a sudden, it's like you've got this amazing tool in front of you with a possibly immature, spiritually immature staff that wrestles with spending time with Jesus anyway. And so
Mm,
now what do we do? And so I don't necessarily get nearly as concerned about, my seat. I am
yeah.
very concerned downhill, three or four, five, six layers in the organization. And what does that mean for them? And how do we help coach
Mm,
them in this day to
mm.
not take that bait? So, that's
That's
kind
really
of
good.
what we're in right now, just trying to really help create space for intimacy with God, focus on that as an organization within our staff, because I don't think the numbers don't lie to us, John. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many people that are in ministry today that love church. They just aren't in love with Jesus. And we've
Yeah.
meshed these two things together.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, it becomes a lot easier to ask AI for a three-point message on, John 3:16 or whatever, than it does
Yeah.
to actually get in there with Jesus and wrestle through the
Wrestle
text.
with it.
So yeah, anyway, so I just think that for the younger generation, that's where I'm most concerned. Because
Mm.
you're laughing about technology when you get up here, but it's not like I know a lot about technology anyway. So I mean, I don't,
Right.
I'm 46, but man, Wes, my son, that's all he knows, man. So I'm like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
so it's a big
And
deal.
I wonder, I saw Elon the other day said that by 2029, 2030, at the latest, there will be no need for medical surgeons anymore because robots will be doing all
Yeah,
surgeries. And there's been times where I've like, I think ministry is AI proof. But then I have other times where I'm like, they say the number one use of ChatGPT right now is therapy. So people are talking,
asking.
yeah, they're not typing. I'm sure you've used that on ChatGPT
Yeah,
where you can just have a conversation with
yeah.
which by the way, this is really important. Which person are you talking to, a male or a female, and what is their accent? Like who do you talk to? Who's talking back to you?
I've
Or
always it's definitely usually a male, and it's definitely
yeah.
British and British background. Yes, I just
Because they
being
sound
from the
smart.
South, they sound so much
They
smarter.
sound
And for
so
me,
smart.
listen to how I sound right now. I need all the smart people in my life I can get. That's why I wear
That's
glasses.
good.
I just feel smarter with them. I mean, I'm just like,
You
this
do look
helps.
smart. I mean, you look
Thank you.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, I mean, easy, easy,
You
easy,
look
Johnny.
unbelievable. So
Thank you.
I don't know if therapy, if people are using the number one use of two number one uses of ChatGPT are therapy and like relationship, like friendship, like
Yeah,
it's a friend. And
Yeah.
so if somebody's going to it for a therapist, why wouldn't they go to it for pastoral help or theology or
Yeah.
so I have to question my assumption that now I do
Yeah.
think if you have a family member that dies, you're not going to call Chat GPT to come do the funeral, I don't think.
No,
So I
no,
don't know.
we're not there
Maybe
yet.
ministry is a AI safe profession. I don't know. But it's just
I,
weird, man. It's just weird.
yeah,
So weird.
I don't know. I think there's some times where honestly, when they ask Chat GTP, they might get better answer than if they ask a pastor too, depending on what the background is. So I think we've got to
Right.
deal. I guess what is it? Reality is our friend, and so I think the more that we deal with the reality of what is, then and
Hmm.
not stick our heads in the sand, but deal with the reality.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think we just struggle with that. I mean, it's funny we're talking about AI and reality, right? But it is true that it is moving faster than what we're able to adjust.
Yeah.
And I know, I guess Carrie would have to be one of the leading voices in the church on the subject. But there's not a whole lot of stuff out there about it, man. There's not a whole lot of
Yeah, there's
voices
not.
helping pastors navigate the water. We're writing obviously policy around it and things like that. But I mean,
Yep.
it's yeah, it's something that's going to overtake a lot of what we do. And in some ways, I think it can make things easier, better. I mean,
Mm.
yes, but I just get worried about content creation. I think that's where the line can get
He said
crossed.
it's funny he opens his book by saying I'm trying to get this book out as quick as I can, but by the time you read this, half of this book may not even be, you know,
I
we don't
know.
know. I mean, because it's moving
Yeah.
so fast. So
Yeah.
you started a campus recently. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
How's it
man.
going?
So, man, it's going really well. We kind of did it differently. I guess it's differently. I don't know. I've never really heard of many people doing it this way, but we had a 70-year-old building in town. It was a Baptist church that
Hmm.
was getting ready to go under. They had just gotten so old. The congregation had aged and they were dying off. And they knew that we wanted another campus in our town. Our town, I mean, it's a city, but it's about 100,000 people. And so they knew that we wanted another location. And so they came to us and really we began to engage in purchasing the building. They wanted to sell it to us and then turn around and give the money as like one last hurrah for the congregation to
Mm-hmm.
nonprofits in our community as a blessing. And this church has had massive history in our area with different senators and state legislative people that attended there. So they've had this really deep heritage. So it was a
Yeah.
great thing. And but it's a 40,000 square foot building, which is good size. Sanctuary sits 350.
Hmm.
Old pews, old green carpet, like this whole different feel, and
Yeah.
but in a beautiful part of town. And so God bless us, we were able to buy it and launch a campus and didn't change anything, John. We haven't redone anything in the sanctuary. We cleaned it, put in a different style of worship. So it's a lot more toned down, still true
Mm-hmm.
to who we are, but it's not loud and lights aren't, not none of the haze, none of the fog.
Yep.
And people have flocked to it, man. It's
Wow.
been an amazing
Huh.
season to see how little, um, I think it's important for people to hear. I think we invested about $30,000
Yep.
into that campus after we bought it,
Wow.
from and started this church. And it's been neat. The Lord
Mm.
gave me a long time ago out of Genesis that we'll redig the wells of
Yep.
the previous generation. I've talked to you about that. I think we did a
Yep.
podcast a long time ago and I mentioned that.
Yep.
And so this is our first well. And so we're
I
redigging
love
that
that.
well, not trying to recreate our other location, just letting
Huh.
God bring forth what he wants in that specific location. We do all live preaching there and live teaching, and super proud of our team because I think it's really, you know, it's hard for a staff to start something and not try to duplicate the old, because
Yeah.
this is all they
That's
know.
why
This is all they've ever known.
that's
you
that's why
know?
I would say what you are doing is unique because you know the, the church in the past has always kind of modeled ourselves off the franchise model of
Yeah, yeah,
restaurants or whatever. You want to go into the other one and it feels the same, looks the same,
yeah,
everything's the same, and you're kind of pivoting away from saying no, let's just redig an old well, but not change anything about it and
yeah.
keep the green shag carpet, which is so funny. It's hilarious. You got green
It is
shag
so,
carpet.
oh, it is there, and it is. I
But
mean,
I think
I
it's a
laugh.
glimpse of where I think it's a glimpse of where things are heading, dude. I really do. The
Oh, I
Gen
agree.
Zs, they want
Yeah,
authenticity, they want real, they don't want fake, they don't care about lights and glitz and glamour.
yeah.
And with the cool
So,
thing you're doing that I think could become a model for other churches to do is because I think everyone's sees it coming, but when is it coming? You know,
yeah,
it's here, but is it fully here? And you
right.
got one generation leaning into that more liturgical, less lights crap,
Hmm.
but there's still a generation that has clung to that. So to shift, right?
Yeah.
So to shift completely and give your organization whiplash might not be wise either, but you're just saying, you know what, we're gonna dig new wells. It doesn't mean we're gonna stop doing what we're doing.
No.
We're gonna redig an old well. And people that
Yeah.
want that can go there. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's I think it's a brilliant way to do it, honestly.
It's been fun, and been super blessed, because I mean, honestly, what I've seen in both locations, because they are very different. I laugh and say that we're a
Oh
church for
yeah.
people with ADHD, because like basically I've got people going back and forth between the two campuses because they like
Wow.
the shift, they like the change. But we are
Wow.
seeing people plant in one location or the other. But I mean,
Yep.
you've been to our church. Our church has got a ton of college students. Well, both
Hmm.
campuses have a ton of college students, a ton of
Interesting.
college students.
It's so
We're
interesting.
we're we're a church with older people in it as well. Both campuses have a ton of older people. This is the statement I've heard over and over again,
Mm.
especially about the traditional, more traditional model. Had a lot of people come up to me say, "Aaron, God delivered me out of that. I don't want to go back to it." So they're obviously
Um,
staying in Winterville, and I'm like, fine, Winterville, go to Winterville.
huh.
Winterville's packed. It's not. I mean, it's
Interesting.
still doing what it's always done. And but
Yeah.
then I've had some people that grew up in this model that we had,
Yep.
that were beginning to grow cold and stale in it, because
Mm.
I believe every generation rejects what they grew up in.
Yep.
And so at some point, and so then now we're seeing this generation shift over here, and a whole new
Mm.
spiritual experience happening in their life, because it's stripped away. It's more simpler, and
Wow.
so anyway, man, it's fun.
I think that's a form of releading in and of itself. Like you are, and think about how many old church buildings are out there that are just like washed up, church is
Yeah,
dying. But but if it's done well with excellence, there's people that love that and crave that.
yeah,
And so I just think that's really cool. That's releading not people, but like buildings.
yeah.
I think that's so cool to think about the potential
Right.
there. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's fascinating. And
It's
I think
been
it's
it's been a
something that could
fun.
work.
Well,
You're
it's
proving it.
working. Well, we're running 500 people on a weekend in that campus,
Yeah,
which
it's
is
amazing.
really good. And the funny thing is the giving at that campus. I mean, I know all the people that listen, and that's the stuff they care about. The
Yeah.
giving there by attendee is much larger than the bigger campus.
Wow.
And
Did-
and so,
Is that because of the age? Is it the area? Is it the because usually it's either the area, geographical location, zip code, or um, every
yeah,
pastor's first service gives higher than the second service, even though the second service is
yeah,
probably bigger. The gray hairs give more than the than the
yeah.
non-gray hairs.
Yeah,
So
I think for us, it definitely hits a demographic of Christian that has re-energized them to church. And
mm,
I think, you know, I think most of the data that I can find is there's this like gap generation gap. And I hate to say it this way, but there is a form of church that we're missing. If
mm,
you're in the charismatic, non-denominational, it seems like all we've done is go darker, darker rooms, louder, louder music. We're
yeah.
leaning to this, and we go extreme in that. If you're
Hmm.
looking for anything liturgical, anything traditional, you have to give up in a lot of ways
Yeah.
the charismatic, the spirit filled, any of that
Yep.
stuff, and move
Yep.
into this, I mean, most of the time, dead religion, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
for some reason, we've never said, hey, there's some people that really love
Mm,
this style of church, and there's some good stuff there. Can we not close off the
yeah.
well? Can we just
Yep.
dig deeper in it? And I
Yep.
think that's what we're finding. And
That's
man,
cool.
I'll be honest with you, John. I mean, if I had my, if I could do what I want to do, I would preach at I would preach at Emmanuel, Open Door Emmanuel is what we call it. We kept the old
Hmm.
name. So that was one of the keys is
Oh,
that
that's cool.
we kept their name because I was like,
Oh,
we're going to honor what God's done here because, I mean, a
wow.
generation of believers gave their resources to start
Wow.
Open Door, I mean, Emmanuel. And we're
Hmm.
coming up and we're building on that foundation. I'm not trying to tear that foundation down.
That's
And so we
cool.
call it Open Door Emmanuel, is what we
I
call it.
like that.
But, for me, I mean, I think Eugene Peterson had something. This is what I'd say is like we're a larger church and
Hmm.
really large for our area, but it has reacquainted our staff to what it means to pastor a church
Small local
of
church.
500, man, dude. Do you understand? I mean, I can't even express to you the joy in my heart to go there
Mm.
and not have, somebody, an armor bearer, not have like, it's just, I mean, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it's
I
just so
do. Yeah.
different and just be up
Yeah.
front and people and seeing
Yeah.
how people love that space and it's
Yeah.
not hurting in and not hurting out. And man, it's
I
just
get
taught
it.
us a
I
lot, man.
totally get that. When I'm at our Edmond campus, it's smaller,
Yeah.
400 seat auditorium, runs a couple services. But when we launch Grapevine, I'm there every Saturday night, and you know, I'm just in the lobbies, and it's not
Yeah.
our OKC campus is large, so it's more so in and out, right? People go
Yeah.
in, go out. Whereas Grapevine,
Yeah.
people just you can't get them to leave.
No.
Like y'all got to go home, flicker the
Yeah.
lights. Hey,
Please.
we
Get
yeah.
out of here.
So
Yeah, and
it's
also we
pretty
don't do
awesome.
video. We don't do video at Open Door
Hmm.
Manual, and so I find that
Yep.
very freeing as well. I'm like, man, I mean, they
Yeah.
record it and send it
Yep.
out, but I mean, I can walk around and not worry about camera
Yeah.
angles, and I mean,
Yep.
it's been a fun ride, man, and there's been so much that
Mm.
God's taught me in the process, and just super proud of our team. I mean,
Did you
I mean,
did you have that in your heart before the opportunity came, or did the opportunity come and you were like, "Hey, this I think the
mm,
Lord's in this. Let's let it be." That's like the vision for that. Did that happen
yeah.
before the
No,
opportunity
yeah,
presented
yeah.
itself,
So
or
10
it
years
just came?
ago, no, 10 years ago, man, I went away on a vision retreat, just me and Jesus on a mountain. And I received what I felt like was the vision to redig old wells, that eventually we would have the
Gotcha.
opportunity to
Mm,
redig in some of these old buildings, and that
wow.
the greatest stewardship we could have in our area and in Eastern North Carolina is where I am, is that we would have many opportunities. In fact, 12 opportunities before I was done to
Wow.
redig an old well.
Wow.
And so, man, honestly, it's been 10 years, John. So I died to it, man. I'd kind of been
Mm,
like, well, because we had tried multiple times, really close. I mean, I remember our eldership got very close to a building in town that was beautiful,
mm,
and we operate in
mm,
unanimity as an elder board, and just we had
yeah.
one voice that said, I just don't think this is right. And so we honored that, moved on from it, and then God opened
Mm,
this door, man. No pun intended. and
wow.
uh and here we are. And so we've learned a lot, in the process. I think the thing that I've really learned is that there's so much money we spend thinking we're doing what people would want
Mm,
when really they don't care. Like,
mm,
I mean, at the end of the day, what probably taught me, God moved us into this building at a moment we didn't have the resources to do a ton to it.
mm.
And now looking back on it, I'm so grateful because
I'm glad you didn't.
if I'd have had the resources, I would have spent it, and I would have come
Yep.
away from that thinking that it's what
Mm,
we spent that attracted people. And in
mm.
fact, it was the exact opposite. They didn't
Wow.
care. They don't care, And so,
Wow.
um, anyway,
Mm,
man, that's just some of the little nuggets in there that I've just been in and been eternally grateful. And I tell the people every time I'm there to speak, I'm like, this Sunday. In fact, I was there this past week, and I just said every time I pull out of my drive to go the opposite direction, because literally leaving my neighborhood, I go to the left to go to Winterville, and I go to the right to go
Hmm.
to the Greenville campus. And um, I just said, man, every time I drive here, it almost pinches myself to think that we have this. And
Mm.
but it's been cool, man. Been a lot of
It
fun.
is funny how we, the capital C church, we think the things that attract people and the things they love. I don't know that. I think there was a time that maybe that was the case, right? In
Yeah,
the, early 2000s and kind of up through that movement. But even this past weekend, like usually your first sermon series of the year, hopefully is a impactful one, vision, whatever. We don't do sermon series. We call them sermon seasons, which is the same thing. They just last longer.
yeah,
But as we approached January, I wasn't getting anything. So finally I was just like, well, then I just won't do one. I'll just, show up every week and preach. What a concept. So
wow.
we're just in the middle of a sermon series that's nothing. There is no series. I just show
I
up every
love it.
weekend and preach. And I think they've been two of my favorite sermons I've preached in a long time. And so
Yeah,
even this past weekend, a lady came up to me in the lobby and she goes, "Hey, I just want to let you know, none of us care. Like we don't give a rip if you're in a sermon series. Like, but it is funny how we've been just so ingrained to think that we have to have a sermon series, and we'll plan them
yeah.
out 6 months or 12 months. And I'm not against sermon series. We do
No,
them, but we just become so rigid and planned, and we just fall into
yeah,
the box, right? And that's kind of what I think is going to be the one of the attractions of the next phase of churches is we don't have to be so programmed. We don't have to do what we think
yeah,
we have to do. Truth is, no one
yeah,
cares. They just want to come and worship Jesus and hear a word and be in community.
yeah. Well, I mean,
So,
what you win people to or through is what you win them to. You have to, and
mm,
so every pastor I know complains about their people being consumers, but we're the ones who
yeah,
made them that
we
way.
built it. We
We
created the
built it,
monster.
you know,
We
and
created the
so
monster.
if you don't, I mean, if you don't like what you're reaping, then you got to look at the sow you're sowing, you know, and
Yep.
we love to talk about that
Yep.
with money, but we
Yep.
also as pastors have to talk about what kind of culture are we creating. And
Yep.
I found it to be the same way. Our people don't care, man. They don't even know what series we're in. I've
Mm-mm.
stopped that a long time ago. They just don't care.
Hmm. They
They
don't
just want
care.
somebody to preach the word, preach it with authenticity, to preach it and declare it.
Yeah.
And honestly, John, that's who we want to attract. If that's not what you
Yes.
are, there's
Yeah.
other churches for you, but this is not it. And let's attract
Hmm.
the right people. And
Yeah.
um, so anyway, I just think, and I love evangelism. I love all that.
Me
And
too.
I
Yeah.
think there's plenty of space to do that. But I just think if we're not careful, we're building our church around the seeker. And then we
Yep.
get really frustrated when all our resources are consumed, but
Yep.
we're the ones who created the beast, and so
We
it's
created the
pretty tough.
monster. Oh, so
Yeah,
whatever you catch them with, you got to keep them with.
yeah,
So if
and
you
you
do a
just can't do
carnival every
that for
month,
long, right?
no, if you do a carnival to get them, then you got to keep doing a carnival to keep them.
Well, you remember
So
when we used to do like Easter, and we used to have to. I mean, I remember doing like Easter services and Christmas services, and being like, "Man, we got to do it better than we did last
yeah,
year." And
yeah,
eventually, you know what? You run out of ideas, and you're like, "Oh." And
yeah,
now we do the simplest services on Christmas and Easter.
we
Because
do
I'm like,
too.
they're
It's
coming
like
anyway. They're
we're
going to
just
be
gonna
there
have
either way.
church. I always
That's
say
right.
that like Easter is the one day they all come, no matter what.
That's right. Why are you spending so much money on Easter? They're going to come, you
They're
know?
good. That's the
So
one day they're coming. I wish they came every
that's
week
right.
like they come on. Every single year we do a debrief after Easter and we're in the debrief meeting. And I always say, I've made an executive decision. Easter was so good. We're going to do this every week.
That's awesome. That's so good.
uh, what
Yeah,
else is going
man.
on, man? Anything fun?
Man,
Anything you're
life
mulling
is,
over or contemplating or
ooh,
struggling with or wrestling with or
it's been a very good start to the year. Super excited about really what God's doing. I'm in the best pace and rhythm that I've ever been in, John. So I would
me
say
too.
that,
Me
like,
too.
I think,
Why is that?
well, I think I rediscovered in the last year the word no. I think that's
Talk
I
about
mean,
this.
well, I mean, what was it? I mean, you know this well because you're one of my best friends. But about a year and a half ago, my eldership and my wife in my review, they said, "Hey, you need to stop traveling." And
Mm,
for the last year and a half, I haven't traveled to speak
hmm.
anywhere, really to go anywhere.
Yep.
I've gone on vacation with my wife and stuff, but not for church.
Hmm.
And man, I don't think I knew how unhealthy I was. I think
Mm,
think I was running the play, John. I was running what I can honestly tell you before God, I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do. Like I can honestly
wow.
tell you, like, this is what you do, this is how you impact the body of Christ. This is and
Mm,
uh and so I detoxed from
mm,
that, submitted to it, and it's changed my life. And it's
mm.
literally I can look back now, every aspect of my life, including our church, is better today simply because I
Wow.
said no.
Yep.
And it re-altered everything. It changed my pace. It changed my
Mm,
quiet time. It changed my relationship with my wife. It changed, and all those things I would have said before the no was is that they were good, but I
wow.
had no idea
Mm,
how much what I was saying yes to was costing.
wow.
And so that's a big part of it. I've gotten very um, concerned in these last probably 2 months with the church in Israel, and so
Mm,
that's going to be a major focus for our church this year of really helping our people navigate some understanding about Israel and the Jewish people.
mm,
So that's really a big thing in my heart this year, but not living in two ditches, but just opening up the word and helping our people
hmm.
really understand what that is. And so
Mm,
we're going to be releasing some resources, doing some things like that, because I do feel like the church right now lives in two extremes on that issue,
big
and
time.
nobody's able to really. And I feel like our sheep are left to like they
Pick a
don't know
side.
which direction to go, and it's just not. It is
Yep.
so. Um, Troubling to
Yep.
my spirit. I don't know what else to say, John. I mean,
Mm,
it's just troubling to my heart right now. I think that we're in very
mm,
dangerous water. So,
mm,
yeah, those are some of the things, man. But I'm just dedicated to um, keeping good pace, being obedient. I'm teaching a lot more this year, traveling a little bit this year, but not anything like I was before.
yeah.
And just staying in that place, man, where I'm rested for the weekend. I think that's the biggest thing too. Is now I look forward to the weekend because I'm rested going into it and not tired. And I just can't tell you how many weekends, a few years ago that I'd just be exhausted getting up there and I'd be
Mm,
sharing. And I think that to carry the word of the Lord, but be tired in doing so, can do more
mm,
damage than
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And
To us
so,
or the people we're ministering to.
yeah, and so anyway, I mean, it's been a total shift to me. I'm settled, I'm peaceful, and at peace with who I am, and that's a really sweet
Have you
thing.
done
So
anything with your structure of your staff that's helped with that too? Like, have you restructured, or do you what? How in the weeds are you on the day to day?
I'm not very much in the weeds at all. I mean, we're still in the process of shifting some things, but I do think we've spent. I have two associate campus pastors, and so I
Hmm.
know you have campus pastors, but I have two associate campus pastors, and they really are acting as campus pastors. But just in
Hmm.
the shift to two campuses and the
Yep.
timing and how quickly it came, we were just very careful with titles because
Yep.
I think everybody has a perception of what that means. And so we've been very um, intentional about how we've done
Hmm.
that. But they do not manage anybody. So that those two positions are only caring for sheep. And that has been
Mm.
amazing because
Wow.
they are meeting with people every week. They are
Hmm.
owning the pastoral weight of that campus,
Hmm.
not the staff weight. And
Hmm.
so then we've really, because of me being more present, everything has gotten more settled.
Mm.
And Yeah, man. So my week is very easy. Our team, our lead team, we lead through a team very similar to how you do.
Hmm.
Uh, and then for those who don't know, we have about, I don't know, we have about 180 employees now between our education, which is very large, multiple locations in our area, and our church. And so we've just got a
Hmm.
great team. They steward it well. They do keep us out of the weeds, which is great.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I also think I'm able to spend more time with my eldership. I think that's one of the things
Mm,
that, so often, I think me and you've talked about this a lot. I know we've talked about this personally a lot, but,
hmm
there's only two places the enemy is going to attack at
mm,
church. And I think people don't think about it this way, but there's only two ends he has to destroy a church. Now he can try to
mm,
cause some drama, but there's only two places that he has that if he gets in those two places, he can destroy it. One
mm,
is in the eldership and one is in marriage.
mm,
And so as a senior pastor, we have to strengthen our marriage and make sure our eldership's marriages are strong.
mm,
And we need to make sure our eldership is strong.
mm.
If we can tie those two things down, then the enemy really has no end. And
Yeah.
but those are the relationships many times because of the busyness and pace and travel, we don't have as much time to focus on. And
Mm,
so I think over this last year and a half, man, it's been a very rich season
mm.
relationally um, in my life, so that's good. Yeah,
Imagine that. Spend more time with your wife and it gets better.
exactly. And it's not always about talking about church stuff and talking about
Yes.
problems and all that stuff, man. It's a big
Yeah.
deal. And,
Yeah.
I had a friend in that season that we were beginning to feel God's shift. He said, Aaron, you got to make a decision. Do you want to be known well or well known?
Mm,
And
mm.
and he's
That's a
like,
great way to say it.
and I was like, dang. And what I realized is that
Mm,
I needed to tighten up my circle. I needed people
mm.
close to me in proximity to me that knew me well
Yeah.
instead of me just being well known.
Yeah.
And man, that'll
That's a
change
good
your
word.
life.
I'd say most people want to be well known, but
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is just a path that leads to destruction.
Oh man, we see it everywhere. In fact, what I get concerned about is that's what we call success. That's everybody we
Oh
say is
yeah.
successful. That's what it is.
100%. They're well known.
And yeah, but it's important, man. And so, and you know that,
Mm,
John. I mean, that's been
I
your
love
path.
that.
And so that's why I
I
love
love
the
that.
re-leader stuff. That's why I love the stuff you're teaching people and helping. It's like, man, this is more the whole re-leader thought that God gave you. It's about stewardship. We're
Hmm.
stewarding either
Yeah.
something that somebody gave us or that God gave us
Yeah.
because of somebody else's failure. I mean, either way you look at it,
Yeah.
instead of us trying to just create our own thing or our new thing. And I think
Yeah. That's
that's the
ownership.
kingdom.
It's not, nothing in the kingdom is ownership. It's stewardship. Like it's
That's
not
right.
ours. Yeah.
Yeah. And so and we just today in the body of Christ, we have a lot of people that don't think about it that way, right? They don't think about this is just about
Yeah.
stewarding the only righteous way to grow in the kingdom of God that I can find. And I mean, you have doctor in front of your name, so if this is
It just
wrong, if
means I
this is
wrote papers
heresy,
and
yeah,
just means I
man,
spent lots of money and wrote lots of papers.
don't undersell yourself. But the only righteous way to grow in the kingdom of God is to steward what you have.
Hmm.
So in all of our growth methods and all that stuff, that the only righteous, I mean, we act like God doesn't want to give us good things.
Mm.
But the truth is that he is a good father. Every good and perfect gift comes from him. So therefore, I'm not trying to shake his hand to give more. He's just saying, well, you steward what I've given you so I
Yeah.
can give you more.
Yep.
And that includes people,
Yep.
property, I
Well,
mean,
it's the
all
parable of the
money.
talents.
That's right.
Take that from him and give it to them. They didn't steward it
Yeah.
well.
What do you see going on in church, man? You're in Dallas. I mean, you're in that big, you're in the Oklahoma Bible Belt. I mean, what do you see happening now?
I mean, I would say it's similar. I don't know of a church around here that's really um, doing it the way you're doing it that I really like, and I think there's something to that. I think for I actually spent some time thinking about that even while we've been talking. Is I think there's something to that. Like if there's a shift coming, That's always the challenge is, do I shift everything all at once? If I'm Blockbuster, do I shift everything from
Yeah.
this to digital all at once? Well, you know, I remember my very first Netflix account, before digital, they kind of reinvented the DVD rental space. It was like
Yeah.
they'll mail it to you, they mail you back, you mail it again, you mail it back. So it was like this. There was this. It didn't go from Blockbuster to Netflix. Did the way we see it today. There's like this in
Yeah.
between. Like there's this season of, well, it's not what it used to be, but it's not yet what it's going to be.
That's
And
right.
I feel like that's where the church is.
Mm,
Um, the Blockbuster version of church from the early 2000s. I think we all know that that's going away, but
hmm
how do we shift to what we think it's going to without disrupting the system to where we crumble while we wait for the next season to come? And I think what you're doing is a pretty interesting way to approach it, where it's not either for you, it's not either or, it's and both.
hmm
And as things shift, you're able to pivot as it goes that direction. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
I like that.
this might sound a little businessy, but I mean, I know you get a lot of people on your podcast that are from all different backgrounds, so not just church leaders,
Yeah.
but in our context, and you've been here, so we're very different context than Dallas, Oklahoma City. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Yeah.
size of our community, right? And so just from the issue of how many people doing the same model that we were doing, okay,
Hmm.
we're not going to get that many more people given the context and the size of our church and our community. Like,
Hmm.
there's not that many people left to come to
Right.
this
Right.
type of model, right? And so at the end of the day, why not? If God is really breathing on it, you don't want to
Yeah.
just do it for
Diversify.
growth. So I'm not trying
Yeah.
to grow it just to grow it, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, think about what God's saying. But if why not? Why wouldn't He want to do something new?
Right.
Like, why wouldn't He want? Why would we just go do the same thing?
Yep.
I
Yep.
I just think a lot
And
of us would become more successful in the multi-church. And it's a theory. I'm too in. There's guys that you have on this
hmm
podcast, you included, have way more campuses. So just take it all with a grain of salt. But my
hmm
question, my thoughts, my questioning of myself is, why wouldn't we just say, God, what do you want to do here?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
Yeah.
that be our first question when He gives us a space, when He gives us a
Mm.
new ground, whatever? What do you
Right.
want to do here? Not
Yeah.
let's take this and go, so I just think it's
Yeah.
important, man.
I do too. And like I said, if that's, it seems to be that there's a lot of people shifting that direction in their preference. And so I don't
Hmm
know. I think it's really cool what you're doing. And I think it's a model that might be something that other churches should look at and consider doing. You said something a while ago about um, saying no, and you thought you were healthy and you thought you were doing it the way that you were intended to do ministry, and turns out you were wrong. And it just
Yeah.
reminded me, I don't know when this podcast will air, but I preached a message this past weekend that is really that concept. I preached a message about the right way to be wrong. And
Mm.
When I was in
I
Greece
saw a
several,
clip of it. That was awesome. Yeah.
yeah. So when I was in Greece, I just had this epiphany, which we already know, but Paul thought he was doing it right. Like when he
Mm.
was Saul, he was killing Christians, and he thought he was honoring God by doing it. He thought he was doing God's work,
That's
and
right.
turns out he was wrong. And the Damascus Road showed him how wrong he was. And so I really unpacked that, just saying, on in a world that's dead set on being right, like everyone's right politically, theologically, everyone has a platform, everyone has a YouTube channel, everyone's out there just telling them why they're right, everyone has eschatology, everyone has their pre-trib, post-trib, no trib. It's like I began to realize that every life-altering, impactful moment of my life was because I was wrong, not because I was right. It
Right.
was because I realized that I was wrong.
The
And
humility.
yes, and God shifted my heart and set me right. And
Mm.
so I don't understand why our world is so dead set on being right. Like we're sitting here even wrestling with church model. Like not one of us is going, well, this is the way and this is what we got to do.
Yeah.
No, I'm just like, I don't know, God. I mean, the
Yeah.
older I get, I think the less I know.
For
Like
sure.
the older I get, I'm like, I don't know if I know anything, Lord.
And I
Just
think
show
though,
me.
John, I think John, what you're seeing, I don't know, is key. The older you get, the older we get, the less we think we're right, and the more we're okay with it.
Yeah,
And I think that's like
yeah,
key. Is like being okay with not being right, because then you're
yeah,
not trying to prove anything. It is what
yeah,
it is, you know.
yeah.
And the more that we get comfortable as pastors with the place God has called us, and this is one of the things I respect about you, and I think a lot of people, hopefully they catch this, but you really have three different campuses in three very different places,
Very
in
different.
three different types of people. And
Hmm.
so you've got to be very comfortable being Jon Chasteen regardless of the environment you're in,
Yeah,
you know. And I
yeah.
think there's something, but you feel very called to the exact places that you've been called. And I
Hmm.
just think that, man, more pastors, if we would be content with the
Hmm.
place God has called us instead of
Yep.
pursuing the influence we think we need to have,
Yep.
then we would find a whole lot more peace,
That's exactly
you
right.
know, because
Yep.
then it's not about like, how does everybody out there perceive me, but it's actually about the sheep that God has
Yeah.
put under me
Yeah.
and pastoring them and leading them, which goes back to your series and the lady coming up to you and saying, we don't care about series.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want to hear your voice. And
Yep.
I think that so often, man, we get so enamored with how much influence people have, but at the end of the day, there's so much of that is just sound, and it
Hmm.
doesn't really matter, instead of just being the
Hmm.
place. And here I am, man. I mean, everybody on this podcast hears my accent. I sound as country as anything, but I'm absolutely fine that God called me to Eastern North Carolina,
Yeah.
and this is where he
Yeah.
called me. And so
Yeah.
what has he
Yeah.
called me to do here?
Yeah.
It's important.
Well, godliness with contentment is great gain.
Yeah.
So God's
Don't hear that often.
definition, God's definition of gains is contentment
Yeah,
with
that's exactly right.
godliness. And that's not our formula. We're like, great gains means increased growth, multiple campuses, speaking circuit, naming lights. Like that's gains, but
Right.
that's not God's version of gains. God's version of gains is if you're godly, if you got me on your side, and if you're content and all you have, you're winning.
Amen.
You're
That's right,
winning.
man.
That's the greatest
That's
gains
good.
you can have. So
So good.
yeah,
Good
so
stuff,
I'm
bro.
I'm just like maybe, maybe I say that in the message. I said maybe being wrong is the most righteous thing we could ever be.
Hmm. I
Because
agree, man.
if we're going to be righteous, it means God has made us righteous. And for me to become righteous means before that I had to be wrong.
That's
So
so good.
wrong, having knowing that I'm capable of being wrong with
It's
humility
probably,
is what will
mm,
lead me into being right.
that's exactly right.
Yeah,
That's exactly right. Man, I tell you, you
yeah.
spoke one of the most, I think, one of the most profound things that I've ever heard. And I'm not trying to blow smoke. And I know you've talked about the past, but one of the most profound things that you ever spoke was a few years ago. You came and spoke and you talked about right seed, wrong womb.
Oh
Do you
yeah,
remember?
yeah. I
Do you
do.
remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
Hagar and
yeah, Ishmael and
yeah,
Sarah and
yeah.
I think we as leaders, I mean, I just think that is such a profound word that
Mm,
Abraham, and I'm not trying to be crass, but it is what it is. He
yeah,
planted the right seed in the wrong place.
absolutely, you did.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's just so often that, man, we really need to really process place. I think that's when you look back in the Old Testament, God is all about place. He's all
Hmm.
about I'm going to go take you to a land you don't know. This is the
Yep.
boundary lines of the land. This is,
Yep.
I mean, everything is about place. And
Yep. Well,
and
and
as
the crazy part of that story is he was enticed to put the right seed in the wrong womb by
the right woman.
Sarah, by the right womb,
Yeah.
because
And
the right womb, the way that God said, and really it's a timing thing. It wasn't happening in the timing and in the way that they wanted it to happen. And so they tried to force God's plan. And
Hmm.
that's the thing, like what you said earlier. You're like, dude, God told me 10 years ago to redig the old wells.
Yeah.
And you waited around for 10 years. You're like, God, what the heck, man? Like,
Yes.
and you could have forced that, the right word, the right seed, you could have forced that into the wrong womb. And you could have went out and be like, okay, well, we got to find an old building, and here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna keep the green
Yeah.
carpet, and we're gonna.
God said it. Let's go.
Yes, yes. And
Yeah.
I feel like I've been the lead pastor at Victory now for 11 years. I feel like I'm just
Hmm.
now coming into the season of 2026 and beyond, where we're hitting a stride and we're starting to see momentum and great things coming and exciting things happening, things that are too soon to announce. But 11 years, like what the
Yeah,
heck,
dude.
man?
Well, but I learned this. I'm seeing things right now. You know, my dad passed away 6 years ago. I'm seeing things right now that my dad dreamed. And when I say
Wow.
that God spoke to my dad.
Mm,
So when you think about it, part of being a re-leader is stewarding that which we did not create. Right. That
mm,
at the end of the day, that is what a re-leader is. Like we said, you came into it because of a tragic situation in a church.
yeah,
I came into it because of an amazing father who transitioned it to me. Either
yeah,
way, though, you are stewarding as re-leaders. We're stewarding God's dream.
yep.
And so often in our life, what we don't understand is that God, biblically, and we know this, but God gives dreams that we weren't meant to see with our own eyes. And
Yes.
we're just meant to
He did it to
steward them.
Abraham. Yeah.
Yeah. And so just living in that place of being content, you've talked about
Yep.
that, and just being obedient with the
Yep.
now, being obedient with the day, being obedient with the moment, and not allowing the pressure. And I just think that's where spending time in the presence of God, when you spend time in the presence of God, it removes the pressure to perform. And it
Mm,
creates in us this sonship instead of this hireling, this son who is enamored with his father instead of just working for his father. And
hmm,
all of a sudden, we begin to live at peace and contentment,
mm,
waiting on Him to open the doors that no man can open. And so,
yep.
I just think that it's a really big thought that we don't have to be so driven. I said to our church, I was actually talking about the parable of the talents this past weekend. We're in a series called Entrusted, and I got it there. Lauren and I had been talking that week, and I said, most of the great things in my life that God I know did never they were never one single moment on a vision board. They were
Mm,
never in a strategic plan.
yep.
They were
Yep.
never something we were even trying to make happen. It
Mm,
literally came out of nowhere,
wow.
and it was what God blessed and did. And I'm about strategy. I mean, you know me, I do strategic
Yeah,
plans.
absolutely.
I believe in all that stuff. I'm just
Yeah.
saying though, is that
Yeah.
so often we're the ones trying to control what he
Hmm.
does instead of just be a son or a daughter
Hmm.
receiving what he wants to give us.
Yep.
And
Well, I don't know. I was surprised by that. God is a generational God. He's the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. And when he came to Jacob, he said, I'm the God of your father, Abraham, the
that's
God of
right.
your father, Isaac. And so, you know, in even Hebrews 11, it lists faith chapter, lists all these people. And then later in the chapter, it says, and many of these never saw the promise of God fulfilled in their lifetime. But
Never.
then it goes straight into Hebrews 12. And since we are surrounded by a great cloud of
Such a great cloud of
witnesses,
witnesses. I
yeah,
love it,
it's
man.
like all they've done is pass the mantle to us. And we're supposed to have a vision so big that we couldn't finish it if we tried.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's your
what
dad. He had a vision so big that you had to finish it. And you'll have a vision so big that you can't finish it. Your successor has to finish it.
that's right. And I think that's how
Yeah.
we know we're dreaming God-sized dreams. And then I love
Yeah.
this in what is it, Romans chapter 4? It says, when Abraham had no reason to hope,
He kept
he
on.
kept on hoping.
Yeah.
And not only that, but his
Yeah.
faith grew stronger. There's
Yeah.
something about the waiting that's
Yeah.
supposed to make us grow stronger and
Yeah. It
more
sucks.
trust. Yeah, and that's what sucks. But
Yeah.
man, when you live in that place, John, it's a whole
Yeah.
lot more peaceful because you're like, man, if God doesn't do it, we were talking
Yeah.
before we got on here about some things that God's birthed in your heart. And and in myself. And there's just so many years I wasted trying to make happen what only God could.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it just
Yep.
gets a whole lot better when you just kind of like, okay, it'd be what it be. But I'm just gonna be faithful with
Waiting
what
is
he
part
gives me.
of it. That's what Paul
Yeah, man.
said. Let perseverance finish its work.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We don't like those
uh,
scriptures. I don't
no,
like to
they're
talk about it.
terrible. They're
But
terrible.
wasn't it you and I that found the was it you that put me on or need to put you on to take the patient firmament of the church? You remember that when we started talking about that a
You
few
turned
years
me on to
ago?
that. You turned me on
Yeah.
to that, I think. Yeah.
I think that
It was a
really
book, right? It
shifted.
was a book.
Yeah. It's an
Yeah, you
old
told me
school
about it.
book. I've
You
got
told
it
me
here,
about it.
but
I've
they
got
go
it
back
somewhere
and they
too.
started talking about how the greatest the author's thought process is like the greatest fruit of the spirit or the greatest I'm losing the word right now, but the greatest fruit of the spirit in the early church that showed their marked their
Yes.
maturity that they knew it was patience.
Yes. In the book of Acts.
And
Yep.
man, that's strong, man, when you start thinking
Yep.
about that, because we just live in a church culture today that is anything but
Oh, we
patient.
don't know how to wait. That's what Jesus said. I'm going up. Y'all wait. I'm gonna send the Holy Spirit. Go over there and just wait. Just wait on it.
Yeah. What is your
Yeah.
greatest concern for the next generation right now, like that you're seeing of church leaders?
I think it is. It does. It goes back to the same um, thing we were talking about earlier, and the best way I can articulate it. And even when I was working in higher ed, training up the next generation of leaders, I'm concerned that our culture, church culture, has changed what the definition of a successful pastor is. And most pastors have this. If they didn't say it, they're in their subconscious somehow they think that I'm not successful unless.
Yeah.
And there's various things to that, right? Some are big, some are just as silly as I don't have enough followers on Instagram to be successful, like.
Yeah.
But I just think, like you were saying, to if I don't need to be well known, I need to be known well. And that
Hmm.
I love that articulation of that, of to really to be a successful pastor, you don't need to be well known at all. Like no one needs to know who you are except your sheep. Like those, and I think we don't have pastors that smell like sheep anymore.
Yeah.
I know pastors that rarely preach live at all at any of their
Yeah.
campuses. They pre-record everything and they're just
Yeah.
traveling all over the world and preaching. And I'm not opposed to that. They're preaching the gospel. It's like I'm not mad.
Yeah.
I'm just, and I think some people are called to that, right? So there are the people that are called to that. They're anointed for that. That's their calling. But for every other, that's the 1% of the 1%.
It's not the
But then you,
standard.
no,
Yeah.
then you get all these pastors looking at that going, well, if I'm not that, then I haven't reached the pinnacle of what God's called me to do. When really the Eugene Petersons are the real heroes that just pastored some little church in Baltimore for 30 plus years and
Yeah.
married and buried and hospital
That's
visits
right.
and sat on hospital beds. So
Yeah. Well, I think,
it's the non-glamorous
yeah.
things.
Yeah. I think that one of the things that, and I just keep on hearing this in my quiet time over and over and over again, but that God wants to produce it through us, a fruit that
Hmm.
remains.
Hmm.
And I think so often, we get into seasons. This is what my prayer's been for Open Door. We get into seasons of fruitfulness.
Yeah.
But what I'm believing for in this season and in the seasons to come is a fruit that remains, not a fruit that
Mm,
comes and goes, but a fruit that just is stable, that remains. And I think, you know,
yeah.
we talked about the mega church of the 2000s and that we both have been products of to some extent
Yep.
and
Yep.
seen. But I think there's a lot of question around the fruit of that. There's a lot of question
Yeah.
around, is there a fruit that actually remains from that? What is that?
Yeah.
But you look at the Eugene Petersons of the world and some of these men that were absolutely content pastoring
Yeah.
churches of 3 to 4 or 500, whatever,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, and there's a fruit that was in their life that remains and still that I'm eating of today. And
Every
um,
once in a while, God will help have something happen that just reminds me. Like there was how long has it been now? I don't know, 3 or 4 months ago. I had a pastor buddy of mine. You know Mark Allen.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mark Allen calls me and he says, "Hey man, I've got a pastor buddy in St. Louis that a guy that attends his church. He has a brother in Fort Worth that's in the hospital. Could someone on your staff go visit him in the hospital? He's tried to commit suicide. He's in the hospital. He's in the ICU." And I'm like, "Yeah, man, I got you." So I hang up and I'm sitting there thinking, who can I send down there to, and I just sense the Holy Spirit go, you dummy, you. So I jump in my car. I go down there. I don't know what I'm walking into. I don't know how old this guy is. I don't know his name. I don't know nothing. I'm just walking in. He's in the room, blank, blank, blank. And I walk in there, and here's a military vet guy who's as hard as nails. Like, I'm like, this is a waste of time. He won't even look at me. He won't talk to me. And I end up just kind of shooting the bull, opening up to him about trying to get him to open up about the military and his experience. And that kind of got him talking. But he was just stone cold, like not going to talk to me. And so fast forward 2 hours later, and this dude is crying, giving his life to Jesus. So I walk out to my car and I'd lose it. I'm bawling in my car. Like I'm bawling like a baby because I've led hundreds of people, if not thousands of people to Jesus from a stage, like raise your hand if you and I've led other people to Jesus, but it's like just this reminder of this guy doesn't attend my church. He does.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to recruit. I'm not trying to, do a call to Christ at the end of the sermon. And then I end up giving this guy my cell number and start discipling this guy. And then turns out he's been suicidal over and over and over again. An old vet and was in Afghanistan, bullets flying past his head. And so then he calls me one day. He's like, "Hey, I want to come visit your church." I'm like, "Dude, I don't care where you go to church, but just, yeah, come." So then he calls, "Hey, I want to come. I want to bring my kids, but my wife is doesn't believe in God, kind of an atheist, and I don't know what to do." Anyways, dragging the story out, I basically just said, "You got to live it, dude. Like just live it. Like you don't have to tell her, just live it." So a few weeks later, I'm in the lobby chilling. I turn around and he's standing there with his wife. And and it's funny, like it's the weekend we're taking up our Heart for the House offering. I'm like, great. Of
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
weekends for
yeah.
this girl
The
to come to
biggest give
church.
weekend of the year.
Oh
That's
my
right.
gosh. So,
Give
anyways,
your
I
first fruit.
exactly. I'm like, oh my gosh. So, anyways, I preach a little message and we do it. And I do a call to Christ, and his wife raises her hand and gives her life to
No
Jesus.
way,
I'm dead
John.
serious, bro. And I'm just like, so it's like God, I'll say all that to just say there's like little
Mm,
moments that the Lord will just remind us that what this is all about. And it's
yeah,
not about numbers, it's not about campuses, it's not about, you know, being known. It's stuff like that. Like that one encounter brought me more joy than if I would have planted a a fifth campus with 1,000 people.
yeah. So you want
So
to know something crazy? Because that story
what?
doesn't stop there. The
Hmm.
pastor in St. Louis is a really good friend of mine.
Are you
And
serious?
how you ministered to that guy that
Yeah.
day changed my pastor's friend's life. Like,
What?
because he could not believe that John Chasteen went to the hospital to minister to one of his people. And
Are you
like it literally,
serious?
oh yeah, yeah, I was with him. He came
Do
and
you know
visited
that guy?
me. Oh, like he's Josh Earls, he's top of the
I don't
notch.
even know
Love
his
that guy.
name. This is like a
Yeah,
full
Josh,
circle moment
yeah,
for
yeah,
me.
Josh Earls, and he came and we were actually spending time together. And he said, "You'll never believe what John Chasteen did." And I was like, "Who's John Chasteen?"
You
No, I'm just
gotta be
kidding.
kidding.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. And he told me the whole story, and it
What?
ministered so deeply to him because,
Wow.
like, I mean, and it is a big deal. But
Wow.
I think that's so powerful for you to know that.
Man,
Like,
that
it
blesses me.
touched so many different things, and even he's
Wow.
told that story to obviously multiple people, but also to his staff, of course. And so, and
Wow.
I think that
That's so cool.
encapsulates, man, just how, what God is
Mm,
looking for in this day. But
yeah.
anyway, it's super,
Yeah.
super less, by that story
Man,
from you. But that you
I
need to
didn't
know
know
that on the
that.
other side. Isn't that crazy?
I didn't know that at all. I don't even
Yeah,
know
he'd
what
be
church
like,
it
"You
was. I don't
can't
know what pastor
believe
it
what he
was.
did." And I was like, "What did Johnny do?" And he said, "Johnny did this." I said, "Johnny, he
Oh
does have a
man.
heart." I'm just
I
kidding.
did, believe it or not, I do have a heart. Oh,
That's
that's so
awesome,
cool,
man.
man.
That is so good, dude. I love it, man. Isn't that
Oh,
wild?
I didn't know that, man. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Huh.
So
Well,
that's
I've taken enough of your time today, brother.
man. I love you, bud. I
It's kind of
appreciate
cool
you.
because that's, most of my podcasts, I have guests on and they are kind of guests, really. You're not a guest.
Yeah,
You're just a buddy. You're just a buddy. So,
yeah,
like,
dude. I love it.
we did a podcast just now of one of our typical phone call conversations of an hour that just is going to happen to be a podcast. So
I love it, man. I think
it's
it's
kind
so
of
much
cool.
fun. Honored that you invited me on, buddy. I mean that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh
we're
yeah, dude.
good.
You're a stud, man. You're an amazing leader and you model it
Yeah.
well. And you've
Yeah.
got just an unbelievable church and ministry and school. And
Yeah. Thank you, buddy. I
so
love you,
we
man.
love you. We
Grateful
love you
for you,
guys too.
man.
You
Grateful you're
too.
coming back this year, bud, to see
Can't
me.
wait. I get to come to Groomville.
Wonderful. Wonderful, North
Groomville.
Carolina. Wonderful.
Yeah, I
So
always say
it's gonna be good.
Greenville. You can't say
Yeah.
Greenville. Greenville.
Grumble. Grumble. Yeah, man. Be
Oh
good.
man. All
It'll
right,
be good,
dude. I
buddy.
love you.
Love you, man. If you need anything, let me know.
Okay.
Deuce.